Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back with another 10 metal bands you haven't heard but should. We have some nice tapes from Funeral Hymns. We have a bunch of CDs, primarily from Cavernous Records, and a 7-inch. So let's get into it with VHS, Gore from Beyond the Stars. If you're not familiar with VHS, they seem to be putting out quite a bit of stuff at the minute, and what you get here is a lot of very short songs. Fuck, I nearly threw that at my face. If you like stuff like Exhumed and Ghoul, then you'll probably like this. It's really fun, kind of 80s horror themed death metal with a lot of grind and thrash in there. Yeah, definitely a good like Halloween soundtrack. It's not overly serious, but it's still good. It's not one of those kind of shitty parody bands. They definitely deserve a listen, especially if you're into your horror and kind of death grindy kind of stuff, I guess. Next up, we have some much darker death metal from Evil Incarnate. This is, again, Funeral Hymns. And what we get here is more in the veins of Vital Remains, especially the earlier... fuck me, my brain is not working yet today. Earlier section of the band's releases, some early Vader in there. Incantation is definitely a comparable one. So yeah, if you like your much darker, more evil and murky sounding death metal, this thing has plenty of just cavernous, creepy stuff going on. Really good release, really enjoyed that. That was probably my favourite of these 4 tapes. Next we have some black metal from, let me read this, Hak-Ed Damm. Sorry if I fucked that one up with Necro Wrist Fucked. Amusing album title, but a pretty serious release. This sounds more like Marduk, Dark Funeral, those kinds of bands with unrelenting blast beats, lots of kind of straight riffs, just power chord riffing and stuff like that. It's got a very kind of barbaric wartime feel to it, not to be confused with war metal. If you're familiar with Polish black metal, there's definitely some comparable elements with that scene. But yeah, really good tape from Hak-Ed Damm. And now the last of the cassettes, we have Valgrind, who are definitely going to appeal to a lot of you guys who like old school death metal with more technical guitar abilities. Think Morbid Angel, think Monstrosity, Vital Remains, not Vital. Oh, I mean Vital Remains do have some really technical riffs, but my back is fucked. Nocturnus, those kinds of just killer bands with amazing musicianship from the whole band. Valgrind's Condemnation, absolutely killer album, and it doesn't lose that old school impactfulness. It's not overly produced. It's definitely not tech death by any stretch of the imagination. It's just some solid death metal with great musicianship. Now we have some CDs. So first up we have Spectral Dance from Canada. There's quite a few Canadian releases in this video, which is never a bad thing. This is a one-man project released by Cavernous Records. Now what interested me about this one is the album started out in a more kind of DSBM vein, I guess, and then progressed into a very cold, very Canadian sounding black metal album. So if you enjoy stuff like Ossuaire and Monarch, then Spectral Dance is definitely worth a listen. Very kind of somber black metal. Now I guess staying in the kind of melancholic path, we have Lie in Ruins, Finnish death doom. Finland seems to be delivering just album after album of consistently great death and black metal, especially in the last few years. Lie in Ruins is no exception, released by Dark Descent, the equally consistent deliverer of great death metal. Lie in Ruins, if you're familiar with Finnish death metal, you'll know about these convulsing rhythm guitars, the kind of cascading, dreary leads over just walls of killer drums, these drawn-out vocals. Absolutely superb stuff. If you're familiar with Corpsest or Solothus, those kinds of bands, Crypts, also from Finland, this should definitely appeal. This is, I think, the 3rd album from Lie in Ruins, if memory serves, and the best so far in my opinion. Tons of atmosphere. It doesn't outstay its welcome. It's got very organic kind of feel through it, and is an absolutely killer piece of Finnish death metal. Now we have some black metal with Akhlys' new album Melina on Debemure Morty. Apologies. This is the digipack version. All of the production qualities of the various physical formats look absolutely great. Debemure Morty have really delivered something cool here. And the artwork is very indicative of the 5 songs we get on this. which take some of the ambience of the band's beginning, but in this new black metal setting, well, that we saw developed on the first album and even further on this one, we see the theme of nightmares and the kind of slumbering mind used in a ritualistic and occult context. And it's a really interesting theme. I mean, I can't really do it justice sat here half asleep at pre-9 a.m. trying to decipher some of the interview answers I've read by this guy, or these guys, sorry. But there's a lot to be said, and definitely is worth a read. And if you like bands like Abyssal, Portal, Mylinga, those kinds of bands, all of which I've talked about on here, those kinds of big, dissonant, unhinged riffs that just conjure feelings of unease. It's really difficult to do this album justice with words. It's really interesting and definitely deserves your attention. So yeah, check that one out. Blue Tail Snort, of course, would be a good comparison. Next up, we have Unnatural. Now, you guys, if you watch kind of underground metal YouTubers, are probably very familiar with Ken and Ken's Death Metal Crypt, who uploads loads of killer underground demos and has started vlogging. You may have even seen one of my releases on his vlog, which was very kind. But long and short, everyone loves Ken, and if you want to hear him do vocals in a band, Cavernous just released this. I think there was a US label did it as well, and my brain has just completely gone blank, so just go check the Unnatural Facebook page, which is just Facebook/UnnaturalUS. Nice and easy. But yeah, this is a compilation of the demo EPs and a track off the split with Fetid Zombie and Rotted, also great bands. You get all the artwork in the booklet, which I'm just gonna, no I'm not, because it's done that thing where the front sticks to the case. But yeah, amazing old school death metal. If you like, you know, the classics like Mortician and Cannibal Corpse, the good old American brutal but old school death metal, all this material's really great. Definitely an interesting thing to have as a fan of Ken's and his music, and of course the whole band. Great guitar riffs, just really crushing stuff, and killer drum work. Just an amazing compilation and a great way to have all the Unnatural stuff to check out. Last of the CDs, we have one more Cavernous release, which is the Fumes and Thorn split. Now, this is a bit more on the technical side of death metal, but thankfully not on the overly showy side. Think, again, bands like Monstrosity and Nocturnus, the bands I mentioned before, because my knowledge of more technical death metal, Gorguts would be one, and some of Death stuff maybe. Those kinds of bands I really like, but my technical death knowledge is certainly limited. But this split is really cool. It's not overly polished. It's still murky, evil death metal the way it should be. It's 2 songs from each band. The Fume songs, I guess, are a bit more hard-hitting, while the Thorn songs maybe have more atmosphere. So you get a really nice kind of equilibrium of just good, riffy death metal. Certainly one to check out. And now we have the 7-inch of the video, something I'm really happy to have scored, because Brexit, from what I understand, I'm not overly knowledgeable on politics, nor is it something I particularly care about, past, of course, the negatives and me, you know, obviously wanting to get things like records and gigs. But this is Baxaxaxa's new EP devoted to him. The reason I mentioned Brexit is because I think it's going to be harder to get stuff from great labels like Iron Bonehead here in the UK. But thankfully, Meisako got this one in just before the new year, and I managed to snag one. Absolutely phenomenal EP, 2 tracks, very ritualistic, ancient sounding black metal for, if you like, Perverted Ceremony, Monan of Zezbeth, those kinds of bands. It's just, you know, none of that pretentious raw black metal limited to 3 copies shipped, just killer German, they're from Bavaria, the Bavarian region of Germany, ritualistic, evil sounding black metal. It's one of those releases you put down and it feels like some kind of spectre is going to lurch out at you. Absolutely phenomenal and great stuff from them. Nice to see some of the brilliant ideas on the album developed on this 7-inch, and yeah, certainly a great release. I think this is going to probably be my one of my favourite EPs of the year. That said, it's only a few days into the year, so I should probably shut up before I dig myself a hole. And on that note, that is 10 metal bands you haven't heard but should, or if you have heard them, kudos to you, you have good taste and good at scoping the underground. I hope you guys find some cool stuff to enjoy. As usual, support the bands, support the labels. They're the ones making sure we have tons of killer metal, which especially in these harsh times that the world is in, gives us something to enjoy and focus on. And if you want to check out my record collection and stuff, feel free to follow me on Instagram. I'm shit at plugging social media and stuff, but if you type in Natskog, you'll probably end up finding me somewhere. And until next time, stay metal.